Good morning, Austin. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Tuesday, June 23rd, and it's nice to be able to say that again. We're going to be talking with a very interesting man this morning on the show. At the age of 14, he ran away from his home in Chicago to go out west and be a cowhand. That same man is now the leading sculptor of the American West. We hope you'll join us this morning when we meet the very talented Harry Jackson. Stay with us.
Liechtenstein is what he is.
We have a really fun guest for you today. Not only is he fun, he's extremely talented. His name is Harry Jackson, and he is the leading sculptor of the American West. As I said in the introduction, at age 14, Harry ran away from his home in Chicago, went out west to learn how to become a cowhand. And a lot of people have said that Harry probably was a major figure in the abstract expressionist movement, or he could have been a major figure in the abstract expressionist movement, but he gave it up for his first love, and that was the American West. Harry has a book out called Harry Jackson, which is all about himself and shows some of his beautiful pieces of not only his sculptor, but his abstract expressionism artwork, and we're really glad that you could be on the show today. Thanks for being here. Nice to see you back in Austin. And you said you'd been here a few times before.
I came here the first time that I can remember, Marion. I came here in 1960, in just beginning of 1960, like February or March, to meet really Mr. Texas. It was a great honor. I came to meet J. Frank Dobie.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget him and his wonderful wife, Bertha, and I came down here with one of your great Texas writers, John Graves. He and I were in the Marine Corps together.
Oh, yeah. John's been on the show.
You bet. Oh, has he?
Yeah, he sure
Wonderful.
has. I have something that I want to read here.
Okay.
And I just want to get your reaction. This is from an interview that Lee Myers did with you. And it was a written...
Have you had that gone through with the censors?
Don't worry, I'll take that out.
All right,
but you have said that your campfire is your altar, and when your bottom hits the saddle, there's a leg on each side and your mind is in the middle. Go into yourself and listen. Go to the eye of the storm, where left is right, where genius is bull, where yin is yang, and home is under your hat. Learn to live from old cowboys and laugh, kid, before you hit the ground. That's how I live and sculpt and raise my kids, and when my ticket's punched, that's how I aim to cash in. You want to elaborate on that?
I don't know what you can say besides that. I don't know what you...
I thought that was so great. I just had to read that this morning. I just thought that was... Is that more or less your theory on life, or...?
That's just the way it is. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. I'm speechless after that, you know.
You said it all right there.
Oh, Lord. That to me that's the most important thing in the world, is just to...
That's a favorite saying of yours, is to have a leg on either side of
Yes, it is. It really is. I heard that when I was a kid for the first time in Wyoming, and it's never left me. And I realized that in that, it just sums up everything that I've found out about just sticking around and living life.
You were born in Chicago, and then at 14 left to go out west. What's your mom think? Did you tell her?
I didn't bother to ask her. I didn't bother.
You just left.
No, I just took off, yeah.
How did you like the West? You obviously loved it because it's so ingrained in your life right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you just
I just went to where I belonged in the first place, I really think, you know.
How long were you out there?
Well, I'm still out there.
I mean,
yeah.
But when you first went out there, how long did you stay?
Well, I stayed, about a year, and then I went back to Chicago to study art formally. I used that to kind of bludgeon dear mother into letting me not get put into school, and to let her get me to go to an art school, you know. I wanted to go study art.
And you did?
And she just, well, I won my point. I won my point, I guess. And so I went, and she permitted me to do that. I went to art school, and I won a scholarship. I didn't have any money, and she worked very hard for everything she had. And so I won a scholarship, and won several scholarships, as a matter of fact. And then I was there for about a month and a half or 2 months, and I took off for Wyoming again.
And that's, of course, one of your main locations right now. It says here that Wyoming is your source of your inspiration, New York is your location of your business organization, and Italy is the center of your production.
Well, New York and Wyoming. My business organization is very heavily rooted in Wyoming, in Cody. Mm-hmm. And we have a big office on Main Street on Sheridan Avenue, right across from the museum, and a beautiful old house. And Mary Wright is the executive vice president in charge of sales and everything that goes on in Cody. And then Gary Shoup, who's here in the studio with us, is in charge of a lot of physical things in the studio and shipping and what have you. And
I have to ask you, now you lived half your time in Italy and half your time in Wyoming. That's what you said earlier, right?
Roughly, that's the way that works out. You bet.
That's the way that works out.
And my family.
Now, why Italy? Why did you choose Italy?
Well, because, when you think of, when I do, and most folks, when they think of fine arts, they think of Italy, in Western civilization. You think of Italy because it's tied up so heavily with the Renaissance and the Italian Renaissance, and Michelangelo and Raphael and Donatello, Verrocchio, things like that, Giotto.
Is it hard for you to remember the images of the American West when you're working in Italy?
Good Lord, no. Oh, no. In fact, I think that's one of the, I really don't know, Marion. And I like being in a spot where I do not know, and I'm not afraid to say that. But I think that's one of the things that I go back and forth to Italy for all the time. And to all you folks that wonder why in the world I do that, why, I really honestly do not know. But I imagine that one of the things I do there is I shake myself up a little bit. I stir myself up. And it's like getting knocked alongside of the head, when a kid isn't thinking right. You got to, hey, wake up, Buster.
Does it make you miss the West when you're out in Italy? Is that one reason?
No, yes, it does in a certain way. But I can get the very essence of it when I'm that far removed from
because
it. Within Western civilization, I don't go all the way to China or something like that. But, if fortune was such to make that possible, I might go all the way to China. I don't know.
We have some pictures here I want you to narrate for us that are just fantastic.
All right.
And these are from the book, Harry Jackson. Now, this looks like a neat
Look, Ma, no hands.
How old were you there? About
I don't know.
2 or something like that?
Yes. Oh, I think that's a little younger than 2. I'm kind of practiced at that, Marion. I've got a 7-month-old, year-old kid, and I got a little Chloe Ellen. I've got a son who's 2 and a son that's 4, and a daughter that's 11 and another son that's 14. So I've got an eye for that growing process right now. Okay. I think somewhere between 1 and 2, maybe, in that picture. Well, there's Cal Todd standing right next to me, the man with the black hat.
Now, you're on the left here.
Yeah, you betcha.
Left.
Yeah, okay. With the hat kind of horizontal. And then right next to me is Cal, and he's here in the studio with me, too. Just really so pleased that Cal and decided to join Gary and come on along for the ride, and he's down here from Wyoming. I came in from Italy yesterday morning, and Cal and Gary shot down from Cody, and I stopped in New York and picked up Lila Renner from the New York office and came on down here.
Why do you admire the American cowboy so much?
I don't know why. I just know that all I need to do is to know that I do, not worry about why so much.
It really means a lot.
I just do. I just find that it's just so, that he is so wonderfully lasting, just so wonderfully timeless. His solutions to many things that I observed as a young man, as a child really in Chicago, before I ever left Chicago. I was surrounded by I realize that now as I get older and I look back. I was surrounded by some awfully straight-up old salty hands that came into Mother's restaurant, into her lunchroom at the Chicago Stockyards. And those men must have left an impression on me that just never, ever. There was a cowboy that I knew out here called Buster George. And any of you folks out from around Albany, and he came from a little town south of Albany. And Buster George, he was one of those kind of men. I loved old Buster. He was just a marvelous man. Do you consider yourself a cowboy? You sure look like one there. Well, yeah, I do. I do very much so. Spiritually, I'm not a cowboy because a cowboy is a man that works cattle and tends cattle, and I don't do that. I do not do that, and so that way I'm certainly not a cowboy. I'm hell, I'm not even a sculptor when I'm sitting here right now. Right now, I'm on TV with you. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, but you're a sculptor.
Well, yeah, that's right. There's one right there. That's old Sabertooth.
That's old Sabertooth.
That's old Sabertooth. You know, I wonder, would it be fun? Might be too much. I was going to read the commentary that I wrote about him.
Yes, please do.
Would you want that?
Sure.
It's there in the book.
Okay.
Shall I find it?
All righty. Yeah,
Maybe
by all means.
All right, good. That's funny.
When did you make old Sabertooth?
I did him. An Italian fella posed for him.
Really?
Yeah, a man called Sirio Giannichini. Wonderful man. Wonderful, wonderful man.
Huh.
He'd have to be to pose for that.
Look at that face.
And
though.
then,
just look at that.
by God, let me see here if I can fumble around and really get this screwed up good. I got a commentary on him here. I said, Old Sabertooth, this is on page 265, reminds me of my good friend and ranch manager, Mel Stonehouse. Last year in the Buffalo Bill Bar in Cody, some big young fool told him cowboys were no good. Mel knocked the stuffing out of him, and I bailed Mel out of jail. He's 68 years old. He believes in cowboy religion, quote, never quit the cattle on a stormy night, end quote. He's been a champion saddle bronc rider and bulldogger and one of the best big game outfitters for 40 years in the Northern Rockies. He and I rode out into the hills for 10 hours one day last year. You've never seen a man ride until you've seen Mel Stonehouse. In 1950, one of Johnny Wyance's broncs, Owl Creek, threw Mel into the fence and broke his right leg in umpteen places. Mel had hunters in the hills, so he took them out, cast and all. With the wet snow, the cast came off, and he rode anyway.
Gee.
He's practically been one-legged ever since. But let me tell you, he still rides and ropes, and he still runs my outfit like it was his own. He personifies the spirit that not only America, but mankind never ought to lose touch with. No amount of presidents or senators or judges or preachers ever made that spirit possible, and I love celebrating it in my art.
Gee,
okay, that's what I said about Old Stonehouse. And you'd never believe it, but a man, if you met Sirio Giannichini, you'd believe it, I'll tell you.
Let's take a look at
He
some
posed for it.
other pieces here if we can. You've brought several of your finest works, I think. Let's see, one right here in the middle. Who is this right here?
Oh,
is this Pony Express?
Rider? You
Yeah.
betcha, you bet.
Now that's the one that John Wayne had.
He had that in his, that was the most touching. I mean, there aren't words for that. There are not words for that. Mike Wayne, Duke's oldest son, told me, he was himself so moved by that. He said, Dad had the Pony Express, the painted Pony Express, which was one of his favorites, and he had that brought to his hospital room, and he had it put on the windowsill, and he wouldn't let anything else in that room.
I thought that was an interesting story.
Nothing. He said, we kids brought him different things, and he said he had that there, and that. Well, I mean, he said I want to just look at that, and I'm so, I'm so happy that I was able to let something like that come through me and get it out, and that Duke
so that he could enjoy
you betcha,
it.
That he could
right
look
there.
at. And,
now, you all were pretty good friends.
He was a good friend of mine, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I bet he was a neat man.
You have to ask him about what kind of a friend I was.
He, I guess did you meet him first when you made the Marshal?
No, I didn't. I'd never met him. I'd never met him. I did the Marshal in my studio in New York. I don't have a studio there anymore, but I had a studio that time. And I came over from Italy on the order of Time magazine and did that thing from photographs that Paramount, yeah, there it is. That's the bronze after the piece I did on Time. The one on Time cover, it still has the stop. It still has the main armature going up through the horse's belly.
There we go.
You see it right there?
Right.
On that image there on the left.
Now, that was 69,
You can still see that main post going up into his belly.
Right.
With a butterfly wing nut there.
Did you ever talk to him about this?
Yeah, oh, sure.
What did he say?
Well, he wrote
about
me the
it?
most wonderful letter after it was on Time cover, and he thanked me very much. He said, me and old Ty thank you for putting us on the cover of Time. And he said, come on out and see how we paint a movie sometime.
Did you ever do it?
Yeah, you bet. I went out and saw him a little over a year after that. I went down to old Mexico, to Durango, where he was working on a movie which later was called, I think, Big Jake. And they were doing a film on me at the time, TV station in Denver.
What, your life story or something?
Yes,
really?
kind of, yeah, yeah. And they keep always trying to make it the life story, and I keep going doing some more life after that thing. But I went down there, and he was wonderfully hospitable, and he just did like that. We just became friends. And he just
Interesting, yeah.
most incredibly warm,
Yeah.
giving, thoughtful, responsible, great man.
I'm
Just
sure he
loved
was.
him.
I'm sure he was flattered by your work too.
Well, whatever.
We're going to take a look
Okay.
here at another piece of your work, and if you can, this is Two Champs, isn't it?
That's Two Champs. That's Clayton Danks there.
Okay.
Uh,
That's neat. Now this, of course, is.
that looks like him a little bit. You know, I tried to make it look like him.
How do you come up with ideas?
I knew
for your
Clayton. I knew
sculpture?
Clayton. I had the honor of knowing Clayton just before he died. He was 90 years old, and he died in 1970 in the Pioneer home in Thermopolis, Wyoming. And just to have known the man, you had to put something in there about, you know, he'd crawl on to the top of anything.
But how do you capture
I think he'd have
that?
done it at 90. I really believe he'd have done it at 90.
How do you capture that stop? It's almost like that was a real person on a real horse, and you've taken a photograph or something and molded the photograph. It's so perfect because you can see every ripple in the horse. You can see every, as John Wayne said about your work, every piece of sweat and piece of denim that moves and everything there. It's just.
Oh, I don't know. It's just I think just get in touch with the wonderful life of the whole thing, just the madness of it, and just enjoy that.
How long did it take you to do that one?
Oh, 3 weeks really.
3 weeks to do that?
3 weeks. Yeah, it was in April of 1974, and Harmon Watt, the president of the First National Bank of Riverton, Wyoming, wanted me to do something to celebrate the Diamond Jubilee. I think it was of either Riverton or Fremont County. Right at the moment, I forget. Do you remember, Gary, what? It was Riverton, of the town of Riverton. And it was, and so I thought I'll do something that really is going to be about pretty cowboy and have to do with that area. And of course, Clayton had been, he'd been sheriff of Fremont County for 16 years. He was high sheriff of Fremont County, and a great character and that great citizen of that county.
Do you ever
I chose him.
Do you ever suffer from creative fatigue, or do you ever have times
What in the
where
world
you
is
just
that?
where you just can't think of maybe a way to do something, or it doesn't seem right?
Yeah,
or
you know what? I've
burnout?
suffered from that. I suppose I don't know. I've suffered from everything.
What do you do?
Name it, I've suffered from.
What do you do when you have?
I
Do you just take a break, maybe go on
You
vacation?
don't even have to ask me the name of it. I've suffered from. Why not? And God, what an awful life I did.
But really,
I
what
don't know how I ever made it this far.
you've loved it. Seriously, haven't you loved it? Haven't you had a good life?
Oh, miserable. It's just miserable.
Oh,
suffer,
yeah.
my
Oh,
God.
oh, yeah.
You know, that's a small world, by God. There was an old lady from Texas, and she had a funny saying. She says, "How I suffer every time I think of how I suffer." and I can't tell you more about it than that, but it's a fact.
If we could, let's see. Okay, now you're making, let's just see, this is Sacagawea here.
What was I suffering from? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's an Englishman there, and that's Derek Howarth and his crew.
Now look at the process. Now this is the monument, obviously. This is the big
That
one,
is
right?
actually that's a fiberglass model that we're fabricating there in my studio. They flew down from London, England, to work on that in my Italian studio. I couldn't find anybody in Italy that was as handy doing that, and they'd worked for Henry Moore, those men.
Now this, of course, is
That's one of the
miniature.
volumes of Sacagawea. Let me, I'm going to move around over here and turn that for you. I'd like to do that.
Yeah,
Keep
go
your
right
hands
ahead.
off the art. Keep your hands off the art.
What's the sign in the store? Whatever you break, you buy, or
Yeah.
something like that?
Good. I bought several of these.
That is a beautiful piece. Now, where'd you say that monument is, of the big one?
The first casting of the monument is in Buffalo Bill Historical Center, the Plains Indian Museum in Cody, Wyoming.
Was this a special one for you to do?
Oh, I loved it. Everyone's special, though. Man, every single one is
Really?
special. I did a plaque the other day, just a small plaque for the best of show, for the artist that was elected as the best of show. his work, that is, and at the Cody Country Art League. And I think at the time I was doing that plaque, that was the most important thing I ever did. You know, you're just damn fool. You think everything you do is important.
Do you just work on one piece at a time, or do you
No,
have
I work
several?
on several things.
Do you have several going?
Absolutely, yeah, I really do. Yeah, good.
Why did you leave abstract expressionism? Because you were doing so well
It left.
in that.
Well, yeah, I don't. You know, I used to try to explain those things.
Mike,
you know?
can we see a picture of we have some pictures of your abstract work, and
All right.
they're going to
Do you want me to open
find
it up
that.
to some of the pages or something like that?
No, I think they've got
all right.
the abstract expressionist paintings.
You know, something's funny. I'm looking at that monitor there, and I'm trying to comb my hair, and what I'm doing, I'm going the wrong way. You see, I'm going the wrong way. It's like,
backwards.
yeah, I can't figure out which way it goes, and that must be why some of those people look so disheveled on TV. I'm looking over there trying to see how that goes, and I keep combing it the wrong way. I'm going against the grain.
But seriously, why here? Okay, now here, this is what.
All right, there's a collage.
That's collage.
And well, pasted paper. Just colla in Italian means glue, and the French word, I guess, was glued paper. You know, collage.
And this is blue.
That's called
horse?
Blue Horseman, Blue Horse or Blue Horse and Rider. A mother and child there, almost. And that's a detail from a painting called the Italian Bar.
Well, look at that. That's beautiful. That really
thank
is.
you. Well, I guess I wish we could see the whole thing.
Yeah,
there.
it's much larger than that, actually. But
Yeah.
that's one part of
That's
it.
called the Italian Bar, and that's old Crescenzo Teneriello, the man in the white apron there.
But why did you leave it? What prompted you to go to the
Well,
West?
this is not abstract expressionism. We understand this is
but the
realism.
paint-
I mean, that's terribly realistic.
Are you still doing this now? Are you still
Doing
doing
what?
the painting?
No, I'm not. Well, I'm painting my sculptures, all I'm doing.
Yeah, but you're not doing the...
But I
this-
dream about it all the time. I dream about painting all of the time. I saw a marvelous painting yesterday by John Clymer about one of the rendezvous in one of his late paintings, and I just loved that painting. And I thought about that, and I thought, by God, I'd like to paint again. I just got the urge, you know. And it was in the home of a collector in Houston, and I just loved that painting.
It seems like it would be a real serene, nice thing to do. We have another picture here of, I think this is
Range burial?
Range burial.
Right, that's
yeah.
another detail of it. And that's 21 feet long and 10 feet high. I learned something as a kid, by God, if you can't be good, at least be big. I don't want any Texans taking that to heart now.
And here is, of course, that was another famous one, Stampede, which is on the cover of the book there.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Who has that one? Who has Stampede? Do you
Oh,
have
there's
that?
several of those. There are 7 of those castings, except for 2 that I have myself, artist models. And then there's a painted version of that as well. And I think you've got some of that on your tape.
I think we do, but we're just about out of time here.
All right.
And
Well, good, by God. That leaves something over for next
I
time.
wish we had more time. You're so much fun. You really are. I've enjoyed talking
Well,
to you,
great.
and you're
All right.
just you're really
Well, I
a
love
ball
you.
to
I
talk
love
to.
you.
Well,
It was
thank
fun,
you.
by
It
God.
was fun.
Now, we can start the cameras now. Go ahead.
I'd wish you luck, but I don't think you need
practice. It's a good practice.
it. Thanks a lot for being on the show today.
Thank you,
Harry
Marianne.
Jackson.
Just wonderful. Well, thank you. Good morning, Austin. It's been wonderful being here. It's been wonderful being here.
Come back and see
All
us.
right, we'll see you.
Okay, we'll be back right after this.
Yeah.